Hello, all. Welcome back to the Real Friends in Football podcast. Happy to have you. Miles Thomas is my name. I am black. Yes, you know. Alex, my white counterpart, my Caucasian friend, if you will. Week 2, let's get into it because there's so much to really unpack.
Recording on Monday, right before the games. By the way, it's
Yeah,
5
so
p.m.
no Monday. Yeah, no Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
We really want to get some stuff out to you guys as soon as possible. So week 2, NFL, I think the biggest thing that kind of not frustrates me, but I would say, how do I want to word this? It's so interesting. Like, I'm having this thought in real time. I'm a Bengals fan.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, like, I feel like Joe Burrow is like a media, like, he's like Josh Allen for the media, but to a lesser degree. Like, he can't do any wrong, and I kind of wish that the media wouldn't lie in the idea of, like, they know the Bengals are fine, but all these. What do you think about the Bengals at 0-2?
Well, I'm not surprised. I'll put it that way. I mean, week 1, they go into the Browns divisional matchup. That's just going to be tough, inevitably, right? Like I said it, the Browns made a lot of good additions to their team. They have a great defense. Joe Burrow historically has struggled against the Browns. Yeah. And week 2, you go against another team, the Ravens, that the Bengals have also struggled against. It's a divisional game. You know, Joe Burrow is having his injury problems, so that maybe that has a little bit to do with it at least. And so, I mean, you're 0-2, but at the same time, like, you played 2 divisional games. And so I'm not really worried about y'all. I always said that the AFC North was going to be up for grabs. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I think it's one of the toughest divisions in football, if not the toughest. And, you know, with the defensive play and everything, like, it just seems like all those teams, you could fast forward one day and say, hey, this is a 12-win team, right? So
yeah, and I guess what I'm fully trying to harp on, it is frustrating being a Bengals fan because you have Joe Burrow, like, you have like a top 3 quarterback and you're 0-2. So the math isn't mathing, and the idea of, like, I really don't know what the issue is.
What are your thoughts on, like, the Jamar Chase, like, T. Higgins kind of thing?
Nothing. So this is where I've boiled down my identity with the Bengals and why the struggles are so fake. In the idea, like, fake as in, like, you see them struggling, you're gonna say something negative, but you know in the back of your mind, like, you're that rhetoric is probably gonna change. And it's so crazy that they go into a Super Bowl championship, a Super Bowl game in year 2 of Joe Burrow, and then last year go into the AFC Championship, losing to the Chiefs. Joe Burrow's this, Jamar Chase is that, T. Higgins, Luanarumo defense. Isn't it crazy that Zach Taylor still hasn't, like, been in the top running for, like, Coach of the Year? Or, like, you know, if you make a top 10 list, I promise you the average fan that probably knows all 32 coaches, they'll probably accidentally, like, not put Zach Taylor in the top 10 or so. I'm starting to think I'm not saying Zach Taylor is an issue or there's a problem, but he's the guy making the play calls, and you have Jamar Chase, you have T. Higgins, you have Joe Burrow. There shouldn't be a game in any reality where you only score 3 points in week 1 and then you lose in week 2. So
I was going to compare him to Matt LaFleur with the Packers. I feel like he got a bunch of publicity. He's a really great coach, and then last year no one really, like, talked about him. So I feel like maybe that could be kind of similar situation to Zach Taylor, where he kind of has to, like, prove himself a little bit more.
Possibly, but I don't know. I think of everything with Cincinnati, the coaching's the issue. But moving on, an impressive performance. Like, I think the Falcons might be better than even what we suggested that they would be.
The problem that I have with the Falcons, the only thing that is going to hold them back is the quarterback play.
Yeah.
If Ritter, because he had a couple of really bad throws, but I would actually said this to my brother last night as we were watching the highlights. If you put a quarterback on that Falcons team, like a decent one, that they could be like number one team in NFC type shit, right? Yeah. You put Kirk Cousins on that Falcons team, they're really good. And so it's really dependent on Ritter, right? Like, and the way they play football and their defense, the defense looks a lot better, with Jesse Bates and all that than they did last year. And the running game, it's, if he can just be a game manager, I agree with you. The Falcons are scary. And we knew that. Like, we both said that, like, coming into the season.
So my philosophy on it, it's not necessarily, the Falcons are going to, like I said, I think the Falcons are going to be better than what we already thought. And we already thought that they were going to be pretty good. It's just the quarterback position. I mean, call me crazy, but I think from what I've seen of Desmond Ritter, he's playing better than what I thought he was going to play. And it's been bad.
Yeah.
But it's still better than what I thought it was going to be. And then I wasn't really aware of the impact of Bijan. Once again, I knew he was going to be good.
I'm pretty sure he's leading the NFL in like yards per carry right now. He has 6 yards per carry.
Didn't know he was going to be this good early. So I think the Falcons, I think they have a legitimate shot to. I mean, defenses are like defensive players are still human beings. When they go, and when the Falcons are about to play an opponent, the defense on the other side is going to say, we just got to stop 7. Like, we just got to stop Bijan. And then they're that window in the back of their head for Ritter to kind of be taken as like a third option, because that's probably what he is.
Yeah.
It's going to give Ritter those opportunities in some games to make big plays, I think, because he's going to be a third place afterthought to some defenses. So Falcons have a legitimate shot of winning that division for sure. Who do you think comes out at that division?
I predicted the Falcons coming into the season. I thought they were going to win the division over the Saints, just with their head coaching issues. And I me, I'm a huge Bijan fan, so I just thought that his impact was going to be insane. I bet him as offensive player of the year. I picked him in 2 fantasy leagues. That offensive line is insane. They got Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Algier, a guy that you like a lot. Yeah. They play the game the right way, right? When it comes to defense, or not like defense wins championships really, but it's running the football, very physical. It's not that like flashy type football, and so they're not going to make a lot of mistakes. And Ritter had his bad moments, but he also had his good moments. And if he can just continue to become better, and even say he's trash, right, and he gets pulled out, like put Heineke in there, I think he could even keep it afloat. So worst comes to worst, I just think worst comes to worst, if the Ritter thing fails. In the draft, there's a ton of quarterbacks coming in, or maybe they're also going to be a great destination. Say the Bears get rid of Fields goes over to the Falcons, or Kirk Cousins or someone like that. I just feel like that team is going to be a great place moving forward. So,
yeah, I think overall Atlanta is good. My question is this: is there a world where Desmond Ritter is so bad, even at like 5-0? Like they still don't put in Heineke, because Heineke is a legit quarterback. I think or he's a legit backup quarterback. But to your point, like at what point, even if you're winning, even if the W's are stacking, like that game should have gone the Packers' way. I think the Packers should have won that game. But in the same light, like Ritter's poor performance let the Packers have that game. But of course, football doesn't work that way. So is there a world where the Falcons are undefeated, but they have to bench Desmond Ridder
I don't
because
think
of
so.
how bad he's playing.
I think they have to roll with Ritter. They have to see him as the future of the franchise, at least envision it that way, even though it might not be true. I just feel, even if Heineke's a slight upgrade, I just feel like they're going to have to roll with Ritter. And they're going to allow him to be making mistakes, right? I think next season you could reevaluate, but this season, right now, I feel like you just have to let Ritter do his thing. One thing I was going to say about the Falcons, I think the Falcons might be what we thought the Lions were going to be coming into this season, or at least what the public's perception of the Lions was, right? We're talking about, we know the three top teams in the NFC. It's the Cowboys, the 49ers, and the Eagles. And everyone's waiting. Who's going to be that other team that's, in that area? I think a lot of people thought the Lions were going to be there. The Falcons, to me, could be that fourth team that, scares people, right? We talked about it, running the football and playing decent defense. So
there's a few more hot teams that I definitely want to get to.
I will say this. Miles over here nailed two teams so far that I've been pretty shocked about.
What?
The Bucks.
Oh yeah. We're about to get into them. Okay. I promise you that. Okay. We're about to get into.
We got a video releasing on our main channel, so get ready for that one.
I mean, who do I want to go with first? Ooh, I could just have so much fun with you, Alex. Alex, how many pillars do you need to build a fantastic organization? How many pillars, man? I would say you need 4, baby. And people name 3, but they forget about that 4th one. They don't even have all 4 right now. They only run on 3.
You're talking about the Rams. I was like, what?
I said, Alex, how many pillars do you need? I go, you got Cooper Kupp, you got Matthew Stafford, you got Aaron Donald. All right. Week 1, they come out heavy and shock the world. The way they played, they were physical, they were dominant, they were aggressive the whole time. Week 2 had everyone on the edge of their seat. What's the saying? The edge of your seat.
Edge of your seat, yeah.
With the 49ers, at some point, I think in the third quarter, it was still 27-27 or something like that. Yeah. Like it was tied up for a while.
You think about roster differences between the 49ers and the Rams, there's absolutely no reason why the Rams should have kept that game within 7 points.
Well, I'm telling you, but this is what the 4th pillar is, Alex.
Right, so tell the audience what the 4th pillar.
Okay, yeah. So I'll tell the audience. All right. So let me move this camera. So the whole thing is, Alex, my co-host, he just knew of the 3 pillars to the Los Angeles Rams, right? He knew Cooper Kupp. He liked it. He knew Matthew Stafford, loves Stafford, loves Aaron Donald. And he was like, that's not enough. That's not enough. I said, Alex, there's one more pillar you're forgetting. And he goes, Sean McVay. But it's the way he said it. It was just like, oh, Sean McVay. I said, no, Sean McVay, the 4th pillar. So that is what good coaching is. It is that idea of, like, you ask yourself, why are the Rams still tied 27-27 with the 49ers? And it's coaching. Like, it's the Puka Nuka guy out of nowhere, right?
Yeah,
the rookie.
Yeah. Kyron Williams is the starting running back. Kyron Williams, whatever. Well, and that we actually, I don't mean to, like, take this conversation elsewhere, but the Titans are another prime example, right? Like Mike Vrabel, the Chargers are coming in, everyone deeming this Chargers team to be insane, right? And the freaking Ryan Tannehill, 3 interceptions off of week 1, and they freaking beat the Chargers week 2, right? And so, yeah, you're right. I would say that my knock on McVay was that it didn't seem he was very serious about coming back to the NFL. I just that was kind of my worry with him, but I do agree that he is like a top 5 coach in this league.
Sometimes also with that stuff, I don't know. I kind of wonder, because you see so many times players come out and say, "Oh, really wasn't like that." As I think about that more, I wonder if he was just offered that position to, like, be a sports commentator, because he was doing the podcast with Peter Schrager and LaFleur, I believe. Those were the people he was doing the podcast with. Oh no, it was McVay's podcast with Peter Schrager, and they were interviewing a bunch of coaches. And I think it was just he got an offer from a network, and I'm what if that was it? Like, what if it was just an offer and he'll say, I'll look at it.
Yeah.
And then that's when the speculation of like, oh, he's thinking about leaving kind of started. I wonder.
I would say if he was that willing to come back like that, he had to have at this point known that there was a chance that they were still going to be competitive. And that's like kind of what you were saying.
Yeah. I think that was
I think another thing too, the whole Matt Stafford, a lot of people didn't have him in the top 10 quarterbacks, like maybe even me, or maybe I had him in the back of the 10, like the 10th quarterback. He's proven that all wrong right now. Like this guy still has it in him, and I didn't like straight compare him to guys like this, but you see Matt Ryan, they start declining. Right, he's coming off an injury off his arm, and he's still got juice. Right,
yeah, I mean, juice. I would say, negating injury and I mean, clearly he doesn't need Cup yet, but I mean, he will. But Matthew Stafford's arm isn't what Matt Ryan has. Like, I think Matthew Stafford and Aaron Rodgers could have that success and late in life because their arms are so live. But Rams fall to the 49ers, but that is a team that people are going to be on the lookout for. 49ers 2-0. I have to say this, and I don't know. I think my judgment could change from the Rams' performance against the 49ers, but I also thought the Rams were a bad team. I don't think the 49ers are the biggest and baddest team in the NFC. And this is it. This is the moment. This is the moment you have been waiting for your entire life. The Dallas Cowboys at this point in time
are you going to say the league or the NFC?
I'm trying to get it. If I had to bet on a team to save my life or I will die, it's going to be of course it would still be the San Francisco 49ers, but I say that to say the Dallas Cowboys, I truly believe, are the most complete team and playing like it in the NFC.
Yeah.
I think what they're able to do is have the roster, have the hype, and they're having the performance. And I feel as if we, as people from the outside in, I'll say it like this. If we were playing high school football, if I heard in the news that people were talking about like our quarterback, Warren Truesdale, like he's like bad or like he's like this or he's like playing, like that's going to juice me up to like want to play better for him. And I think we as like people not in that locker room, we think that that's not what it is. We think it's like Dak in the facility by himself and everyone's shaming him the way the media is.
It's actually really funny that you mentioned that because I totally agree. You have the media out there with Trayvon Diggs talking shit to Dak, and everyone's making this crazy assumption that the team's falling apart and all this stuff. And everyone's behind each other. I feel like the whole Cowboys roster is they're just all getting along right now, and it's just like all beautiful. And the media is just making all what they want to say. They got Josh Allen over there, 4 turnovers against the Jets, and we got Dak, 0 interceptions. He has the best QBR right now in the NFL. It's just no one wants to give the credit. Like Dak was the most, and I could be biased because I'm a Cowboys fan, but I feel like he's one of the most overhated quarterbacks, and he's just proving everyone wrong right now. And
Yeah.
he's not the Cowboys, right? But that we don't need him to be that. We just need him to be a game manager, right? We're running the football, playing defense. Like, we have the championship caliber team. And I agree with what you're saying with the, we're like playing the best, because the 49ers and the Eagles will eventually probably get it together. But yeah, right now the Cowboys seem to be playing the best.
Yeah, and like I said, it's I can't wait till y'all play the Eagles.
Yeah, like
we
play the 49ers week 5, so that'll be the true testament. We play the Cardinals next week, which should be a bloodbath, and then the week after that we play the Patriots. Say we go 4-0, no one's really going to give us credit still. Like, I even listened to a podcast today. They were talking about the best teams in the NFL. No one even mentioned the Cowboys, which I think the fact that we're at least not in the discussion is crazy to me. And so, and I'm not even saying that we are the best, but just not the fact that our name doesn't get brought up is crazy. And, week 5 will be the true testament at 49ers, hopefully getting our revenge. And, we'll see how we pan out. But, 60-point differential in the last 2 games is nuts. And these are 2 teams that people were still thought as playoff teams. So
it is different.
It is.
First off, we could say that.
Right. But still, like, these aren't even close games. They're the 2 New York teams that we just played were the games weren't close. It was completely one-sided.
I think this is how I'll say it. This is the best way for me to word it, actually. The Cowboys are playing the best right now. They don't have the best roster. I think the Eagles have a better roster, and I think I think you guys might edge out the 49ers with roster just because of the quarterback separation. I am thinking about their offensive line. I need to think about 49ers and Cowboys rosters.
I feel like their offensive line's really just Trent Williams in my head.
It is, and
I think
I believe.
I think we have a top 10 O-line. I think we have a top 10, top 12 quarterback. Our defense, to me, is top 3. Our defense is better than the Eagles, to me. Then we also have Dan Quinn, who's a god. He is I was telling this to my mom earlier. We basically have 2 head coaches on our team. We have McCarthy, who to me is underrated. Another guy that the media just completely hates on. I think you've given him credit before. This is a guy that his win percentage is still good. And sure, he had Aaron Rodgers, but it's never just so beautifully sound like that.
It's not white and black.
Head coaches aren't just out of, like, where are these head coaches coming from all the time? Everyone's, fire McCarthy. All right, who are we going to get, right? We're looking at Brandon Staley right now. That's not panning out. Eberflus, guys like that. Like, head coaches don't just pop out of nowhere. And so, I think he deserves some respect, at least. And, Dan Quinn is just, you see him putting Micah all over the place. We have guys just shuffling in and out, and it's beautiful right now.
So I think I would slightly edge. See, the only reason I would slightly edge the 49ers just with like the totality, it's irrelevant because of my main point. Totality, just because I think I trust the individual players a little bit more. But with Dallas, I think the Dallas Cowboys are certified the biggest bullies in the NFL. Like, I think last year, it took us a while to kind of definitively say that the 49ers were like the best team. Probably took like week 6, I feel like. But they were bullies from week 1. They were always the bullies, like the guys that no one wanted to play because they were going to beat you up. I feel like that's the Cowboys' role this year. Is even if they win, even if they lose, like, you're going to like fill their defense like the next week, I think.
Right. Yeah, the turnover potential we have, and the Gilmore ad was huge, right? I always would say this. We used to get beat so bad with our second corner, and so adding him, we haven't even really seen Brandon Cooks yet. So our offense still is like kind of vanilla to an extent. And so those 2 additions to me are, great. I'm not saying we are going to like win the Super Bowl, but we're looking as we did last year and even better. Right. So.
I think if you're saying it this year, I think you should say it. I think you should say it for one of two reasons. A, you're cocky and you like to call your shot way ahead of the time so you can go back and be like, I told y'all. That's number one. Number two is what gets better after this year? I mean, I'm not saying y'all are going to be dog water next year, but this is the one year where I believe y'all can win the Super Bowl. I don't believe that ever.
Well, yeah, no, I'm the same way. I mean, last year I thought we were in the mix, but even now more so.
Nah.
You didn't think we were in the mix last year?
Mix? No, because you're still the Cowboys. I thought you were a good team,
so
but
like this year we're
you
not
didn't
the
enter.
Cowboys?
You didn't enter the NFC Championship. I couldn't put you there. It didn't make sense.
I feel as if Tony Pollard didn't get injured in that playoff game, we would have had a better chance. And then if we were to go against the Eagles, I would have felt it would have been a coin flip as well. I feel more confident going into this year, but I think we were at least in the bubble last year. And this year, no, they're my prediction to win the NFC just because I think the media would just go insane and that I'm going to take it that way. But yeah, no, I agree because, we have guys like Micah who hasn't got paid yet. We got CeeDee Lamb who hasn't got paid yet.
Wow.
Guys like that, right? And Diggs is another one. And then
Dak's
we got Gilmore.
Be on the re-up too.
That's what I'm saying. Like right now is the perfect year to really.
You need to say
hard.
it then, because you're not going to be able to say it. I feel like confidently in the next few years.
This is the best team the Cowboys have had in 30 years. 25, I think. I think that's an easy.
No,
assumption.
dude, some of those Romo teams are pretty just disgusting.
I don't think Romo had a defense like this.
Yeah, no, true.
Yeah,
but the offense was like 50 burgers, crazy. Question. I'm about to attack your heart a little bit.
Are you coming for Justin?
Sorry in advance. Got to go after your heart. My man though, Baker Mayfield, did some dirty things. 317 and a tutty. Mike Evans puts up a $171 and a tutty. Rashad White, 73 yards and a touchdown. Buccaneers just decimate the Bears. This Bears team was supposed to be, Just Fields MVP race. This was the NFC North preseason winner to a lot of people. I don't want to say what do you think of Justin Fields because I know you haven't given up on him yet because how much you've invested into him, and so you're gonna wait. But at this point in time, and I know how you are with rookies, but just given kind of what you know now, you only have a game really. But were the Bears wrong with trading away that one overall pick? Not taking Bryce, being able to trade away Justin for some assets. Let's say you get a first round pick. So you get Bryce, trade away Justin, get a first. Were the Bears it's an impactful trade. And I hope we don't forget it. And especially if Bryce Young becomes what I believe he will be, the Bears really made a poor decision in my eyes. What do you think? You call him Jesse Fields. I think you call him Dad. What is everything with that? Did they make a mistake? Go.
Well, I think one of the biggest issues for me, Ryan Poles actually, I'm going to call him out a little bit because, he's been touted this genius like GM. But the fact that they skipped on Jalen Carter to me is pretty insane at this point. Yeah. That Claypool trade has not panned out at all. I mean, this is a guy that almost got not released from the team, but inactive from games. And they spent basically a late first for this guy.
You meant Jalen Carter after they traded back at 9.
Yeah.
They should have got him then.
They should have got Jalen Carter instead of Darnell Wright. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, okay, so here's my thing on the Bears, I guess. I would say that Justin Fields has played pretty average, but he's not put in the system that he should succeed. I think another thing, their O-line to me is still shaky. It's not as good as we thought they would be. The defense is still just horrendous. The defense is garbage. It's bad. I mean, I like Baker, but you shouldn't have a guy like that throwing 300 yards on you that way. And then their offense is so vanilla. Like Eberflus should be number one fired coach right now. Number one. him and Staley need to be, highest odds to get fired. A lot of the plays that they're running are just very vanilla. I watch QB School all the time. He talks about it. I just feel like they're not putting Justin Fields in the best way to succeed. And I don't want to tune the horn of Colin Cowherd a lot, but he talks about it and it makes a lot of sense. Like, if you have a young quarterback, you need to have an offensive minded coach. We saw that with Goff and McVay rather than Fisher. We got to see that with Fields. We need to bring in a guy that is more offensive minded that can really help mold him into a quarterback. And the Bears haven't had that in the last. I can't even remember the last Bears quarterback that succeeded. I mean, maybe Cutler, I guess. But what are your thoughts on the? And I will say, okay, another thing about that to me with the whole like trading for a quarterback thing. We haven't really seen enough out of these other quarterbacks yet. I mean, Bryce Young did not do, and I like Bryce Young, but he didn't do anything week 1. We're about to see him tonight against a good Saints team, and it's like CJ Stroud struggled a little bit. I mean, he played decent this game, but like in the preseason, I don't know. And, Richardson played pretty well, but like we haven't seen enough out of these young quarterbacks to say that they should have went for one of these guys. Next draft, maybe it makes sense depending on what we see, but that's my feeling.
I have a question for you. And I've been careful all offseason to see what you would say, but what do you think what do you think my opinion of the Bears and Justin Fields is? I feel like I don't talk about it ever, but what do you think my opinion of him
I think you like Justin Fields.
Yeah. I like him a lot, but there is so you co-sign. I like him. There is no way in God's green earth that I would trade away my first overall pick so this is what I see. This is what I see when you say, we don't know about Bryce yet. And we have 2 years technically already of Justin. It's gotta so Alabama, Bryce Young, Justin Fields, Ohio State, Bryce clears. Not even close. Disgustingly not even close. The athletic ability of Justin Fields and then of Bryce Young, or like if you see it from a projection, or like if everything hits, kind of like I say with Anthony Richardson and the quarterback, if everything hits with Fields, everything hits with Bryce, who's better? Justin. Yeah. Just off of gifts.
The ceiling, right?
The ceiling, yeah. If I'm the Chicago Bears at 1, I am on the phone trying to move Justin. That's just where and honestly, I feel the same with Anthony Richardson, with those 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I would have felt so gung-ho on the idea of getting a pure passer, because I think that's the issue with Justin Fields, is that he's very athletic, very strong, very capable, but I feel like it's always been his like physical gifts, kind of like Josh Allen. Like he relies on the physical gifts so much. It's not the anticipation which is his problem. It's not the idea of understanding the cushion of your receiver and the defensive back and being able to anticipate where they could be in a yard or two and getting the ball out half second earlier in the pocket. Like, quarterback's not an easy position. It's very, very difficult for a reason. And I think that's what he struggles in. He knows he can get out of trouble with his legs. He knows he has a strong arm, so he holds on to it. He knows he's strong, so he tries to fight off all types of tacklers and take hits. It's just so chaotic, and it didn't work year 1. I mean, he had to, like, even last year, I needed to see in year 2, I needed to see not running, which was great. I needed to see flawless passing. Like, I got to see a passing game, which I didn't see. So that's why I would have taken the Bryce Young draft choice, and I would have moved on from Justin, I think, in the draft. I just think they're that vastly different for the NFL for sure.
I feel in this draft, if we're talking a guy like Drake May or Caleb Williams, it makes sense. And, they do have the Panthers pick. So a Panthers team that could be pretty bad also. And so, if we're talking a team that gets, pick 1, pick 2, it makes sense. And this is a guy, Justin Fields, that they haven't, or they didn't draft, right? Because they have like a new ownership coming in or whatever. But I like I said, I just think the scheme and the offense is just so bad. Comparably, I'm not like trying to give too much of an excuse for him because, like I said, I think he has played average and I expected more. But, there was a fine line last season when it came to the bye week that their offense looked a lot different. I want to see like Eagles, Ravens type offensive scheme with Justin Fields. And I almost think they're like trying too hard to make him a passer to where they're not letting him get comfortable and, have those QB RPOs, make it. I just see a lot of screens, a lot of just dump off passes. And I don't know. The offense to me just seems really vanilla comparable.
So, and this is the thing. This is what sucks about kind of being an outside person trying to analyze what's happening or contextualize what's happening from the outside in. There's always unfortunate tales to two stories, and it's like, okay, Bill Belichick doesn't have Tom Brady anymore, and he's losing. Is Bill Belichick a bad coach? Mac Jones enters the building. The team's not winning as much. Is Mac Jones the bad quarterback? With Matt Eberflus or whoever the offensive coordinator is, kind of putting these vanilla plays and these screens and these dump offs, and the offense isn't. You kind of wonder sometimes. It's like, all right, is this coaching staff really dumb, or they're the ones in the practice? They're the ones in the film room. They're the ones that's like, Justin still wasn't picked in the top 10 for a reason. Are they the ones that it's like, I don't think this guy can do what we tell him to do. We have to vanilla it up. He's not. And I feel like sometimes Justin could be that guy where he's like, he's not getting it, or he's like, he's not doing exactly what it's like it's probably something small, tiny. It's the anticipation. Probably is his issue. He doesn't let it go. He has to see it open. So maybe it's worth it. You know what I mean? So I'm still rooting for him. I like him, but yeah, you ask me, Bryce or him, not even close. Any other games, any other points, anything else that you kind of want to?
I feel like we didn't let you go on your Bucks rant, so I'm going to pass this over to you. I will say this about the Buccaneers right now. I would say they kind of have had an easy schedule, but even still, I mean, you would have thought that, or the normal person would have thought that this team would be 0-2 right now. They have their coaching issues, but they also have like kind of a decent roster, and you've talked about it before. And Baker is just silencing the haters at this point, I feel. And I would say that most people thought that this is Baker's only year left, maybe being a starter, right? Like he's almost, what's the word where he's like a spot starter, and then next year they're going to get their rookie. Holder. Yeah, just kind of like, that Heineke or maybe like a Dobbs type guy.
Bridge.
He comes in. Yeah, bridge quarterback. He's coming in Tampa. After this year, he's done. Like, we're moving on from this guy. And so, I don't know. Like, let's hear your thoughts on this team, because the Bucks have to be, right now, the most insane 2-0 team, right? There's no other team that's this shocking. Not even close.
I think isn't it? No. Maybe if the Rams won, maybe.
Yeah, but if the Rams won, we could have that discussion. But I mean, the Bucks being 2-0 right now is just
look. Two ways I want to go by this. Number one. Oh, how do I want to do this? Ooh, this is so spicy. Okay, so the Buccaneers, right? I'll go this way. I'm autistic. We've talked about this.
Not actually, but
I'm autistic. What do you mean, Miles? I mean it in the realm of football. It's like I see it, and I think what it is, it's people just I think people just forget things so quickly, like how the Bengals start slow. You get it. I'm not mad. I'm not surprised. I'm not shocked. With the Bucks, 2 years ago. 3 years ago, Super Bowl champions. 2 weird years with Tom Brady. Last year, I keep forgetting Tom Brady's only been this is like his first season retired.
Yeah.
Doesn't it feel like he didn't play last year?
I mean, he was not present all the time within their facility. He was like taking Wednesdays off and stuff.
The Buccaneers were so poorly led, I think.
I was gonna say this. I feel like when it comes to Tom Brady, he almost saw it as like a job and not as a teammate, if that makes sense. He was just like kind of showing up to work. And Baker, on the other hand, he's a guy that the whole team can get, like, he has the camaraderie type shit, right?
Yeah.
Baker's out there fucking stiff arming people, gain some weight type shit, and like that hypes everyone up. And you've talked about this also, like Godwin, a guy like Mike Evans aren't gonna go play for the Bucs and expect to just tank, right? And so I feel like Baker kind of brought in that fresh energy that they needed to succeed. And to me, I didn't know that they were going to do this, and so I just think it's pretty crazy.
So I mean, you have Mike Evans, who isn't doing the extension, so it's his last year in the team that drafted him. So he is either trying to get a contract somewhere else, and or he wants to get a contract with the team that signed him and probably get them a few wins. Maybe gets an extension that way. Chris Godwin, not a scrub, right? And then and then the defense. Everyone forgot about the defense. Like the only reason why the Bucs were bad last year is because of the quarterback, in my opinion. And Leonard Fournette was running about a 7-second 40. Other than that, all you needed was a young gun that was picked number 1 overall, that is a leader, and you give him a Super Bowl winning roster. I thought it was crazy hearing all this Kyle Trask talk.
Kyle Trask talk was insane. I would have been. I was thinking about that. I would have placed the largest bet of my life to know that Baker was going to win the starting.
It was dumb. It was silly. Yeah. It was silly. It was stupid. And like people say things, but they don't understand what they're actually saying. This is what people said, and they don't get that they're saying it. And it's a thing like, Baker Mayfield didn't work out. It didn't work out for Baker Mayfield in Cleveland. And like they say it thinking they made a point.
Yeah.
Without the mental capacity to say, because he was in Cleveland, Baker didn't make it in Carolina. Not having the mental capacity to understand that things in Carolina were they had the number, like they have Bryce Young for a reason. And then the LA
and their
stint,
coach got fired.
Yeah, the LA stint where he made probably the greatest drive in NFL history with the Rams. And those, what was it, like 98 yards or something like that? Yeah. Last minute has the greatest drive in NFL history. And then that team has Matthew Stafford. So of course they're not going to give him the reign, like the keys to the like, hear what you're saying. People are literally saying he didn't work out in Cleveland, didn't work out in Carolina, it didn't work out in LA. Like, these are valid points. This is the first roster, first organization, first team that Baker gets to look around and say, oh, is that Mike Evans? Oh, I don't have Cooper Kupp, who goes AFK, or not, he never had Cooper. Cooper Kupp, right? He had Cooper, who AFK every now and then. The whole Odell thing that was crazy that he had to deal with. This is just the best team he's ever had. I can't even name you all the head coaches he's had.
He's also had new like offensive coordinators every season. Also, I listened to an interview from him, and he's like, every year I was learning a new system the whole time, and he's still doing that. I agree. I mean, I think the NFL is a lot more fun with Baker in the league, and seeing him succeed is really cool because he's one of those guys that he doesn't have the talent that some of these guys like Herbert might have. He's like a 6-foot quarterback, and he's got a pretty decent arm actually, but just in general, he's been doubted his whole life, right? Yeah, and he's probably a three star out of high school, whatever, and so seeing him succeed is awesome, and I think it's great for the league.
all I'm saying is like his success is it shouldn't be a shock. Number one overall pick, Heisman, bad team,
Yeah.
bad organization, bad head
Well,
coaches. Bad.
this is what I was gonna say. Sorry, when he played for the Browns, he got hurt and he was playing with an injury and he was trying to be that guy that everyone wanted to. You want your quarterback to be hurt and playing out there, but that
You
wasn't.
don't want Jimmy G as your quarterback.
That wasn't the smart thing to do, because then he got hurt and his stats started declining, and then he gets sent over to the Panthers. It's kind of what you were saying. He gets into another bad organization, and he hasn't really had it fair ever. Even the beginning of his Browns tenure was not good. He started as like the third string quarterback, and we were watching him on Hard Knocks with Tyrod Taylor. Yeah, like, what is this?
Yeah, he was like not starting him at all.
And
like
the head coach that he had for the Panthers is now at Nebraska, and he came from Baylor. And
that's what I'm saying. Like, people need to listen. People need to listen to what they are saying, and so. That's Baker Mayfield. We love him. We support him. Last team, because I know we're big on time right now. We talked about it briefly a little bit. We've said we referenced this team to having one of the worst coaches that need to get fired, but having one of the most physically gifted quarterbacks in the league. LA Chargers. 0-2. The worst thing about the LA Chargers being 0-2 is that Joe Burrow and the Bengals are also 0-2. So I cannot do the rant that I want to do. But with that being said, like, the Staley project has ended in LA. I'm willing to bank on the fact that it is not Herbert. I know I've been a hater of him for so long, but I want to start liking him because it seems like it's kind of easy to not like him. And so I kind of want to start fighting for him a little bit because I don't think he's terrible. I just think he's never better than Joe Burrow. But that all to be said, I'm starting to see things of Kellen Moore was the issue in Dallas. And the Chargers are tasting a little bit of that, even though he put up 300 and 2 tutties. Aired it out a little bit more. LA Chargers, I just kind of want you to kind of go on where you started. Year one.
All right, yeah.
To where you are.
Yeah.
Year one, where you are to where you're at right now. Chargers.
All right. So let me put this into perspective for anyone listening right now. We did a fantasy fantasy football league, and I drafted Justin Herbert over Patrick Mahomes. This is coming off of that sophomore season, I believe, that Herbert had those insane stats, and I was hopped on to the Chargers bandwagon. I'm like, this guy Herbert right here is the next second coming. He's going to be insane. And this isn't even like a hater on Herbert, right? But I'm watching this guy play football, and I'm like, this guy has it in him. And Miles was one of the first ones to bring this up. Like, you were on the train day one. This Chargers team is not good. And, I wanted to believe it because I'm like, here's Herbert. He's, in my head, a top 5 quarterback. So, like, regardless of all of the issues going on with the organization, I don't care who his coach is, they're going to do great because they got Keenan Allen, they got Mike Williams, they got Eckler, they got these Joey Bosa, they got, who's their other defensive end? Khalil Mack, yeah, they got safety. Derwin James, yeah, we're naming all these guys. They are stacked, and it's like, it doesn't even, JC Jackson, it doesn't even matter. This team has no reason to not succeed, yet they freaking fall. Did they fall to the Raiders, right, in overtime or whatever, and they miss the playoffs? I'm like, okay, there's something going on here bigger that I'm not understanding.
Well, it's the Jags last year. Is that what you're talking about? You're talking about when the Jags were, or when the Chargers were up?
That also, 20... that's another. It was the year before though when Bisaccia came in and kicked him out of the playoffs. That's when I started questioning. I'm like, okay, Miles might be onto something here. This team's a little sus, right? And so now the fact that they're 0-2 right now, I'm not shocked because I actually predicted them to lose both of the games that they played. I knew the Dolphins would go in week 1 and beat them, and I predicted the Titans to upset the Chargers. And so I'm with you. The Brandon Staley thing is done. The fact that this guy is let's talk about this. We named all those guys on the defensive side of the football on the Chargers, right? They got like 4 superstars on that defense. Mm-hmm. Why are they allowing the Tennessee Titans, Ryan Tannehill, 3 interceptions the week before to beat them? Why are they allowing Tua? And okay, so I'm not trying to hate on Tua, but like, this is a defensive-minded head coach with superstars on the defense. How many points have they allowed already this season? Like 70 within 2 games? It's baffling to me. Yeah. So it's like, why didn't Sean Payton go to the Chargers? I don't understand. It was like beautiful. Here's a guy that took Teddy Bridgewater, Drew Brees, you pair him up with Herbert, and he goes over with Russell Wilson. It's disgusting. So, yeah. I know you feel the same way because, like I said, I was just a year behind you, but let's ask this question to you: like, what's the most shocking 0-2 team, or not? Maybe not even 0-2, but like, what's the team that you're just? How are they not better?
Give me a second. Hold on, my headphones freaking died. We do it live, baby. Say something.
Hello.
All right, cool.
Okay, so what I said is, what's the most shocking bad team for you? Because I think we already knew the Chargers would be bad.
Shocking bad team. I don't think it's my ego. Oh my gosh. There's no way my ego is this high. Shocked. Who am I shocked? I don't think I'm shocked.
By any team?
I don't think I'm shocked by any team.
Yeah, no, I'm almost thinking the same way. Like, maybe, would it be the Vikings for you? Or did you kind of expect this?
The thing is I think the Vikings, with the games that they have played, I think you can make sense as to why they're 0-2. Because like I said, I think the Bucks are good and the Eagles are good. Mm-hmm. Them 0-2 doesn't mean they're bad necessarily. Shockingly bad teams. You ready? Mm-hmm. Found it. I think the Steelers.
Yeah, depending on how the game goes tonight.
Depending on the game, Steelers and Browns, I think they can either team really more the Steelers. If the Steelers end at 0-2, they would have to be. They were getting a lot of Kenny Pickett's, this preseason god. Yeah. Everyone loves George Pickens. All the Steelers were getting some crazy praise, and we love our Steeler fan base. We will never talk dirty about our Steeler fan base, but no, if the Steelers are 0-2, they are the most shocking team, I would have to say, in the NFL. If
That's
they're
bad.
0-2,
I agree. I think I pretty much I'm not too shocked about how anything's turned out. I mean, I you know how I felt about the Giants, but the fact it's a lot even worse than I thought they would be. The fact that they just zero show against the Cowboys and then had to come back from like a 21-point deficit against the Cardinals is just
I do want to say this. I do want to say this. There's something that the Bengals did yesterday that really made me understand how good they are. and made me understand like how patient I really just need to be. It's just how they do it.
Mm-hmm.
They had this particular drive when they got the three. They had it was a 3 and out on the Ravens. Ravens were hyped, everything. They were going to the sideline, and T and Joe always sits by himself. He never sits around with anyone else. T and Jamar were just kicking it, bro. They were kicking it, and they just go out the next drive. The game was already lost.
Mm-hmm.
They score. T scores. It was such an easy drive. Everything was clicking. We were right. Everyone Joe was on his A game. Like work. It ended. It ended just like he ended it last year before y'all kicked the field goal. He was just on his P's and Q's. T Higgins got that sideline touchdown. He was just on his business. He was good. He was straight. And it's some teams have that ability to like kind of coat a certain way. I just can see with the Bengals. Not saying it with the Giants, but I want to tell you this. I don't put my faith in Daniel Jones. I like Jalen Hyde a lot. You know I like him a lot. Saquon, I don't think
he's hurt for the next like month.
I don't think you've ever heard me say like high praises on Saquon before.
Mm-mm.
I mean, he's athletically gifted, but what we're dealing with right now is something that we always deal with.
Mm-hmm.
It is Brian Daboll.
Mm-hmm.
He is what I say, NFC East champions, Super Bowl, anything Giants starts with that guy. He has everything embedded in him. That is a coach that I would like to play for. He is a coach that I feel like I would want my team to have as a coach. He checks off so many boxes of miles that's why I ride with that team. But we'll see. I still think the Giants are a team that you can get those wheels greased up and they can figure it out. They're still gonna have to deal with their big brothers in the division.
That's the main issue that I have with the Giants. Is just to me it appears that they're the clear fourth best in the division, maybe third, right? But the fact that they have to play these teams 6 times a year is just not great for them.
Yeah. No, that's
they'll probably steal a win against maybe the Eagles or whatever, but
yeah,
it's looking pretty grim. And then coming into Thursday Night Football without your main running back, you got to go against the 49ers, so it's not going to be fun.
It's going to be rough, but I tell you one thing, you can only get better in the back end of your season if you're playing the Cowboys and the 49ers in your first 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Like you either have a chance to get really good in the back end, or they hit a skid and they just never figure it out. So we'll see. I think good football week 2 though. Ready for week 3 coming up. Who do you think beats Browns Steelers? Since we don't know, what do you think Browns Steelers? Who you got?
I think the Steelers come back today
at home. They'll beat the Browns.
Yeah,
I think they'll be up 1-1.
It's one of those things. I think that people are going to overreact a little bit with the Browns, and they're going to come back to earth. And then the Steelers, I don't want to say it's like a must-win game, but at the same time, it's like you're at home. It's home opener. You need to win this I guess they were at home last week. But anyways, they're at home. You got to win this game, like opponent.
What's a better story for the NFL? Saints at 2-0 or the Panthers at 1-1? What's the better story?
I think we want the Panthers to be something.
I think so too.
I think if the Panthers win, that really just opens up conversations within that division. We were talking about the Bucks earlier going 2-0. We have a Saints team that falls, go 1-1. We've been talking about the Falcons, Panthers. Mm-hmm. I think that's another division that really could be up in the air. And we had always talked about that, but
yeah,
I don't know if the public. I feel like the public just pretty much said the Saints are going to win division. Like
I think around
Saints
week
1, it's over.
Around like week 6, week 7, I think you'll hear the curve. I think that's our curve, like week 6, when people start saying what we're saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. Anything else?
What's your Super Bowl prediction right now?
Super Bowl prediction.
Way too early week coming into week 3 Super Bowl prediction.
Can I give you what I want and then give you what I think it'll be?
what you think it'll be.
I think it'll be.
Actually, I feel pretty good about mine. Mine's Dolphins Cowboys. See Tua versus Dak, the most fun Super Bowl of all time.
So that's good. What you think it's going to be, but what it is going to be, and because it's a rare occasion, we got Bengals, Dallas Cowboys in the Super Bowl. Bengals versus Cowboys.
That'd be a fun one.
A weird one though. Man, that would be a action-packed Super Bowl, I feel like. That might be a Super Bowl that is
That might be the most watched Super Bowl like ever, almost.
you kind of I think if the
Burrow would
Cowboys
be
get
crazy.
there, I think if you put any team in there with the Cowboys, I think as I'm actually thinking about it, unless it's like the Titans or some bullshit.
Yeah. I'm just saying any of those like high quarterback. Yeah.
With the Cowboys, it should be a great game. But I think since this is the first and only year I feel like the Cowboys have a legit shot of making it, I'm going to put them in that Super Bowl prediction. And then you already know what we do with the Bengals. It's Joe Burrow. This is what
I agree. I'm not too worried about y'all yet. Like I said, you've had a couple of rough games. Inevitably, I don't know how to put it. A rough schedule early on at Browns, and then you got to play the Ravens with
Browns and Ravens week 1, week 2,
bum Burrow's ankle, whatever it is, and hey, y'all should bounce back once the schedule gets a little easier for you.
Yeah,
we saw it last year, so.
Week 3, we got Monday Night Football.
Y'all the Rams, yeah. Y'all have to win that game.
At home, we'll win that one. That's a revenge Super Bowl game. We'll win for sure.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Y'all got the socials. Follow us. Subscribe to us. Love us. See y'all next time.